The prison deck of the alien battleship was always cold. The walls were made of dark metal, smooth and sharp-edged. Humming with the ship's deep engine pulse dot, in the center of the deck sat a reinforced glass cell. Inside it, a human girl named Kayla sat quietly on a narrow bench, her hands folded on her lap. She wore no chains, no armor, only a simple gray prisoner's suit. She didn't move much. She didn't speak at all, but her eyes never stopped moving. They followed every guard that passed her cell. They studied every camera in the ceiling. They lingered on every corner where shadows gathered. The alien guards laughed whenever they saw her. Pathetic, one of them said, his 4 clawed fingers tapping on the glass. His voice was sharp and wet, like a hiss. Humans are so small, so fragile. I could break her with one hand. Another guard smirked, his long teeth flashing. Careful, she might bite you. He laughed, and the others joined him, their voices echoing in the metal corridor. Kayla did not react. She simply blinked slowly, her gaze calm, almost bored dot to the aliens. She looked harmless. The alien commander stepped into the prison deck, tall and heavy armored. His skin was scaled and black, his eyes a pale yellow. Behind him, 2 elite soldiers followed. He stopped in front of Kayla's cell and studied her. So, this is the one the humans called special? His voice was low and amused. Yes, Commander, one of the guards said. She surrendered without a fight. The commander laughed. I see no danger here. This is what the humans hoped. Would save them? A little soft creature who hides in silence? The guards laughed again. One even tapped the glass with his weapon. Harmless, he said. Kala's gaze shifted to the commander. She didn't blink for several long seconds. Then, slowly, she looked away. The commander smirked, satisfied. Keep her here until the trial. Then we will show the galaxy how weak humans truly are. As he turned to leave, something strange happened. The lights in the hallway flickered. Just for a second, the aliens didn't notice. Kala's eyes, however, followed the flicker like she was watching a living thing. She tilted her head slightly, almost listening to something no one else could hear. Minutes passed. The guards returned to their usual patrol. They didn't see how Kayla's breathing slowed. They didn't notice how her fingertips rested lightly on the glass wall beside her. A faint, rhythmic vibration pulsed through the glass. It was too soft for the aliens to hear, but Kayla felt it. Her lips moved just slightly, though no sound. Came out. One guard paused for a moment, frowning. Did you hear that? He asked. Hear what? Another replied. The first shook his head. Never mind. Probably the engines. He walked on. Kala's eyes drifted to the ceiling camera in the far corner of her cell. It was small, black, and silent. Most prisoners ignored them. But Kayla didn't. She stared directly into it. The camera's tiny red light blinked once, though no one was controlling it. Kayla leaned forward slightly and whispered something in a voice too low for alien ears to catch. It wasn't any alien language. It wasn't even standard human speech. It was a tight sequence of short sounds, numbers, tones, and clicks to the aliens. It was meaningless. But far away, in the endless dark between the stars, something heard her, and it began to move. Kayla leaned back again, her face calm and empty. As before, the guards glanced at her once, then lost interest. They had no idea that the harmless human had just given the galaxy a reason to fear her god. The news spread faster than light. Across the galaxy's major trading hubs, alien merchants whispered about it. In backroom cantinas on forgotten moons, smugglers exchanged rumors for credits. And deep within the command halls of the great alien empires, generals stared at silent star maps and wondered if the rumors were true. A single human ship had returned. For centuries, Humanity had been mocked as the short-lived species. In every recorded galactic war, human fleets were always small, always outgunned, and always the first to fall. The last known human colony was wiped out over 80 years ago. No survivors, no distress signals. Just ashes dot the galaxy had moved on. But now, something was moving in the dark. On the Kelvar Prime Station, high above a gas giant swirling. Storms, the alien ruler Varish, leaned back in his throne. His voice echoed across the great council chamber. These rumors are a trick. Humans are gone. Their worlds are dust. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Dozens of alien leaders from different species stared at him, their eyes shifting, claws tapping, tentacles twitching. None looked fully convinced. A holographic projection flickered in the center of the chamber, grainy footage of a warship moving through a nebula. Its hull was black as midnight, no visible markings, and its shape was wrong. It was sharper, more angular, and seemed to bend light itself. The strange thing? Every sensor in the footage failed to read its mass, weapons, or energy output. It was like it wasn't even there. A low, rumbling voice came from one of the seats. It was General Razik of the Torvath Dominion, his armored form towering over the others. If this is real, then the humans have built something we do not understand. Something old, Marish scoffed. Humans cannot build anything of worth. They lack the patience for long plans, the vision for great engineering. This is a ghost story for frightened soldiers. But far across the galaxy, the truth was unfolding. The black ship was real. It had no transponder, no beacon, and no fleet. Markings. It traveled alone, slipping through border zones like a predator, testing the edges of its hunting ground out in a small mining settlement on the edge of the Zelkari Empire. A freighter captain swore she saw it in the shadow of an asteroid belt. She said it didn't move like a ship. It drifted, almost as if it was watching. Then, only hours later, an entire Zelkari patrol squad vanished. No wreckage, no signals, just silence. Back on Kelvar Prime, the council meeting was interrupted when an aide burst into the chamber. His skin was pale, his voice shaking. "Your Excellencies, another fleet is gone. 12 warships. No survivors. No wreckage. And the last transmission?" He hesitated, then activated a small recorder. Static filled the air. Then a single voice, calm, human, and cold, spoke. "You forgot us." The chamber fell into a dead silence. Even Varesh's confident smirk faded slightly. Somewhere, deep in the void, the black ship turned its bow toward another target. It was not wandering. It was hunting. And it was just getting started. The moment the words left Captain Elara Voss's mouth, the silence is not the end. It's the beginning. The chamber fell completely still. The alien council members exchanged uneasy glances. Some of them leaned back, their claws tapping nervously against the cold metal table. Others narrowed their eyes, trying to read the human's face, as if her expression could reveal the meaning behind her cryptic warning. Only one spoke. A tall, insectoid commander named Vryn clicked his mandibles together and hissed. "You're bluffing. Your people are scattered dust in the void. Your fleets are gone." "Earth is," Alara interrupted him without raising her voice. "Is what?" she asked. "Gone? Broken? Helpless?" Her tone was calm. Too calm. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes never leaving Vryn's. "You don't understand humans. You think war ends when fleets vanish. But for us, war ends when you stop hearing footsteps behind you." The translation devices picked up her voice and repeated it in dozens of alien tongues. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Vryn tried to sneer, but Alara caught the flicker in his compound eyes. He was unsettled. Good. You have no fleets left, he insisted. No colonies, no... This time, Alara smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. No colonies? Maybe. No fleets? Perhaps. But no people? She shook her head slowly. That's where you're wrong. A low hum filled the chamber. At first, the aliens thought it was a fault in the translation system. Then they realized it was coming from deep inside the station, from the ancient hall itself. The sound was steady, rhythmic. Like a pulse, the guards outside the chamber began to chatter nervously over their combs. Static crackled in the air. The lights dimmed for half a second. "What is this?" demanded Counselor Tharek, his silver crest bristling. "What are you doing?" Alara didn't answer him directly. She simply said, 4 years in your prison gave me time to listen. This station's old, patched together from ship's yore. Empire conquered. And I've learned something important about old things. She looked around at every alien in the room. They remember. The hum grew louder, almost like distant engines starting up. The council members' assistants were frantically checking their devices, whispering about strange readings. Energy surges, thermal spikes. Enough, Vryn snapped. You're playing with us. Your people can't. That's when the entire station shuddered. Just once, like a giant had pressed its hand against the hull from the outside. Silence followed. A silence so deep that every alien in the chamber could hear their own hearts, or whatever equivalent their species had, pounding in their chests. Alara leaned back in her chair, her voice now almost a whisper. Do you want to know why? The galaxy hasn't heard from the humans? No one answered. Because the last time they heard from us... She paused, her gaze turning cold. It was already too late. Before anyone could speak, the huge, reinforced doors at the end of the chamber opened with a slow, grinding sound, and something walked in. The storm was not just outside, it was inside the prison walls. Electricity hummed through the metal. The lights flickered, and the air smelled of ozone. Guards moved faster, their boots echoing in the long corridors. Something was wrong. In her cell, Captain Alara Voss sat with her eyes closed, counting each second in her head. She had been silent for 4 years, not a single word to anyone, but tonight, her silence was about to break. Through the narrow slot in her door, she saw a shadow too small to be a guard. A trembling hand slid something through, a piece of folded paper. Paper, not a datapad, not a hollow paper. She unfolded it slowly. 5 words were written in human handwriting. It's time. They're here. Her pulse quickened. They? She had no allies here. Every human she knew was either dead or gone, unless... A loud explosion shook the station. Somewhere far away, something massive had hit the outer hull. The alarm screamed, but it wasn't the usual warning tone. It was deeper, slower. A sound she recognized. It was a human alarm. One used only by Earth's Navy. Ilara stood. She pressed her palms flat against the wall and took a deep breath. She knew what this meant. Someone had found her. And if they were using that signal, it wasn't just a rescue. It was war. Outside her cell, 2 guards rushed past. She caught fragments of their panicked voices. Breach on level 12. Not possible. The void's empty. Those ships, they're dark, dark ships. She smiled a small, dangerous smile. Her mind flashed back to the stories whispered in military briefings before she was captured, about a secret human fleet that didn't exist on any record. Ships with no lights, no transponders, no heat signature ghosts in the void. A fleet designed to disappear for decades, until they were needed. And now, they were here. The seer. Cell door clicked. Not open, but the locks disengaged. No one stood outside. Just the echo of boots retreating fast. She didn't move yet. She knew better. Traps were common here. But then the lights went out completely. In the darkness, she heard a voice low, calm and human. "Captain Voss, it's been a while." She turned her head toward the sound. "Who are you?" "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." A small, cold object touched her hand, a key. Not a modern code chip, but a physical key. She slid it into the manual override and felt the heavy door swing open. The corridor outside was empty, but the air felt different. Like the entire station was holding its breath. Her mysterious visitor whispered one last thing before vanishing into the dark. "They thought you were dangerous before. Let's show them what dangerous really means." And then, from somewhere, deep in the prison, came the sound that froze every alien's blood, the deep, rolling thunder of human war drums. The Void Reapers thought they had seen the worst of humanity's defenses. They were wrong. On the outer rim of the Zucker Belt, an unmarked human ship drifted silently. Its hull was blackened, its transponder dead. To anyone scanning from a distance, it looked like abandoned debris, maybe the corpse of a warship long lost in some forgotten battle. But inside, Captain Alara Voss stood before a holographic map. Her eyes, sharp and cold, traced the movements of the Void Reaper fleet as they closed in. They believed they were hunting stragglers' easy prey. They had no idea they were walking straight into a kill box. Around her, the crew moved with calm precision. There were no shouted orders, no panicked footsteps, only the quiet hum of the ship's systems and the muted clicks of weapons being armed. These weren't ordinary soldiers. Each one had survived battles that should have killed them. Each one had lost someone to the Void Reapers. Status on the decoys? Alara asked. Lieutenant Rin, a lean man with eyes that never seemed to blink, replied, "All 20 drifting in formation. Their heat signatures matched damaged freighters. Should be irresistible date." Good. The Void Reapers would close in, expecting an easy raid. What they'd actually find were ships laced with hidden plasma charges and gravitic destabilizers, devices that could rip open a ship's core from the inside. Alara studied the approaching dots on the holomap. She could almost hear their laughter, the same mocking tone they'd used when the Reapers had first found Earth's colony worlds. Pathetic humans, they had called them. Barely worth the fuel to destroy. But humans learned. And humans remembered. Outside, in the cold void, the trap was almost ready. The abandoned freighters drifted lazily, their battered hulls spinning just enough to look authentic. Beneath the surface, each one was a bomb waiting for the right moment. The fleet approached sleek, Silver Reaper vessels gliding like sharks. Scanners swept over the decoys, and Alara could imagine their commanders debating who would get the honor of plundering them. Range to primary target? She asked. 6,000 kilometers and closing, Rin said. They'll pass between decoy 7 and decoy 9 in 2 minutes. Perfect. That corridor would be their coffin. On my mark, Alara said softly. The crew waited. Tension hung in the air like static before a lightning strike. Outside, the enemy drew closer, filling the sensors with their energy signatures. The Reapers didn't even activate shields. Why would they? To them, this was sport, not war. The moment came. Alara's voice was calm, almost gentle. Mark. The void lit up. Decoy 7 erupted first, releasing a chain of micro-singularities. That swallowed chunks of the Reaper cruiser beside it. Decoy 9 went next, its gravitic destabilizers tearing open another ship mid-flight, scattering molten debris across the blackness. In seconds, the sleek hunting formation turned into chaos. Ships veered wildly, trying to escape invisible claws that tore at their hulls. Pilots screamed over intercepted COMMS. Then the real attack began. Alara's ship, the Iron Dusk, surged forward with silent engines, emerging from the shadow of an N. Asteroid. Her rail cannons roared, firing hyperdense projectiles at near-light speed. One pierced straight through a Reaper flagship, splitting it into two drifting halves before the enemy even knew they were under fire. Missiles streaked from hidden launchers on the asteroids themselves, Earth's old mining stations, long abandoned, and secretly repurposed as weapons platforms. They tore into fleeing ships, detonating in bursts that made the stars themselves seem to shudder. The Reaper fleet scattered. Some tried to retreat. Others charged blindly forward, desperate to find their attacker. But no matter where they turned, something was waiting: mines, drone swarms, or the sudden flash of another hidden weapon. Within 12 minutes, half the fleet was gone. Elara watched silently as the survivors limped away, their once proud formation shattered into drifting wrecks. She didn't smile. This wasn't victory. This was a message. On the come, Rin asked, "Do we pursue?" She shook her head. No, let them crawl back to their masters. Let them tell the galaxy what they saw here. Because this battle was not the end. It was the opening move. The black corridors of the station shook again. This time, not from battle, but from something far deeper, like the bones of the place were being pulled apart. The alien guards, those who had once feared and hated. Elara now clung to the walls, weapons forgotten, staring at her, because she wasn't just walking anymore. She was glowing Dot, not with fire or magic, but with something colder, sharper, older. A mark on her wrist pulsed brighter with every step, each beat like a war drum no one could ignore. "Captain," one guard whispered, in their own language. "The door is opening." Elara didn't answer. She just kept walking toward the heart of the station. She had no map. She didn't need one. Something inside her knew. She passed through hallways that had been locked for centuries. Doors slid open before her, like the station itself feared to block her path. Behind her, the others followed: prisoners, guards, even the alien commander. The war outside no longer mattered. Everyone could feel it now. Something bigger than all of them was about to happen. They reached the core chamber. Dot. It was a cathedral of metal and shadow, with a sphere floating in the center, black, perfect, silent. The surface reflected no light. The moment Elara stepped closer, the sphere rippled. "That's not technology," the alien commander muttered. "That's alive." Elara touched it. The mark on her wrist flared blinding white, then sank into the sphere. Like ink in water, the room went silent. Dot. And then the walls folded away, revealing not space, but a place beyond space. A tear in reality itself. She could see them now, the ones who had come before humanity, the ones who had built the door, beings of shape and light, standing in impossible formations, their eyes, if they were eyes, focused only on her. One of them spoke without sound. "You were chosen because you are the last." Dot. Another followed. "Step through, and the war will end. But nothing will remain the same." Elara looked back. She saw fear in every face, human and alien alike. Dot. She thought of the years in the cell, of the whispers, of the enemies who had feared to kill her because they didn't understand what she carried. Dot. Now she understood. She stepped forward. The moment she crossed the threshold, the galaxy screamed. Every ship, every station, every mind felt it, the change. Stars dimmed for a heartbeat, then blazed brighter than ever. Weapons fell silent. Borders dissolved. Old enemies stopped firing because they suddenly remembered something they had forgotten for millennia. When the light faded, the station was empty. Elara was gone. The core chamber was gone. The door was gone. All that remained was her voice echoing in every language at once. "This war is over. And the next time you try to cage a human, remember me." Some say she became one of the ones beyond the door. Others say she still walks among the stars, unseen, keeping the galaxy from tearing itself apart again. But every so often, on the edge of deep space, ships pick up a strange signal, 3 tones, steady, uncheckable. It's not a distress call. It's a warning. And those who hear it never laugh at humans again.